3 weeks after the Refuge 7 rescue, everything changed for humanity. The video of humans eating poison and saving the Quelm colony had spread across the entire galaxy. Suddenly, humans weren't scary monsters. They were fascinating. Ambassador Taesung's office was flooded with requests. Scientists wanted to study human biology. Historians wanted to learn about Earth. Diplomats wanted to establish relationships. Every day brought new messages, new opportunities. "This is overwhelming," Heejin said, sorting through the hundreds of requests. "Everyone wants to meet us now." Fear turned into curiosity, Taesung said thoughtfully. "They saw us do something they thought was impossible. Now they want to understand how." The biggest request came from the Coalition Council itself. They wanted a formal presentation about human culture, specifically human food. Felinth delivered the invitation personally. "We were wrong to judge you so quickly," the Valanthi diplomat said, their translucent form glowing with what might have been embarrassment. "We saw your teeth and assumed the worst. But teeth are just tools. It's how you use them that matters." "We appreciate that," Taesung said carefully. "But why focus on food?" "Because food is culture," Valanth explained. "How a species eats tells us who they are. We want to understand humans, and your food seems to be the key. You turn poison into nourishment. You combine impossible ingredients. You eat things that would kill others and make them taste good. Show us how. Help us understand." That's how Chef Jae-won found himself recruited for the most important cooking demonstration in human history. He stood in his restaurant kitchen in Seoul staring at the official request on his tablet and laughed until he cried. "They want me to cook for aliens," he said to his sous chef. "Me, the guy who puts gochugaru on everything. You're the best chef in the city," his sous chef pointed out. "If anyone can explain human food to aliens, it's you." 2 weeks later, Jae-won stood in the Coalition Council chamber, surrounded by curious aliens and enough cooking equipment to supply a 5-star restaurant. The chamber had been modified with proper ventilation because human cooking involved heat and smells that some species found intense. "Honored members of the Galactic Coalition," Jae-won began, speaking clearly for the translators. "Today I will show you how humans eat. But more importantly, I'll show you why we eat this way." He started with something simple: rice. He showed them the raw grain, explained how humans discovered it growing in water, and learned to cultivate it thousands of years ago. "Rice is simple," he said, cooking it in clear view. "But humans don't just eat for nutrition. We eat for pleasure, for culture, for connection, so we transform rice." He made kimchi fried rice, the kitchen filling with the smell of garlic and fermented vegetables. The aliens leaned back, overwhelmed by the scent. "This is kimchi," Jae-won explained, holding up the fermented cabbage. "We take vegetables, bury them with salt and spices, and let them rot in a controlled way. The bacteria break down the vegetables and create new flavors. Most species would see rotting food and throw it away. Humans see it and think, how can we make this delicious?" A Valanthi scientist spoke up. "You intentionally cultivate decay? We cultivate transformation," Jae-won corrected gently. "Cheese is milk transformed by bacteria. Bread rises because of yeast-consuming sugars. Soy sauce is soybeans fermented for months. Humans learned that if you control decay, you can create amazing flavors and preserve food longer." He moved to the next demonstration. Now about the meat issue. The chamber went quiet. This was what they all wanted to understand but feared to ask about. Jae-won pulled out different cuts of meat. "Yes, humans eat animals, but let me show you how we think about it." He prepared bulgogi, thinly sliced beef marinated in soy sauce, sugar, garlic, and sesame oil. As it cooked, he explained. In human history, meat was precious. Hard to get, dangerous to hunt. So when we got it, we treated it with respect. We used every part of the animal. Bones for broth, organs for special dishes. Nothing wasted. And we developed hundreds of ways to cook it, to honor the animal that gave its life. That seems thoughtful, a Quelm observer said hesitantly. Not what we expected from predators. Predators in nature just eat, Jae-won said. Humans cook. We transform raw ingredients into something greater. We take meat and vegetables and grains and combine them in ways that create new flavors, new experiences. He demonstrated bibimbap, carefully arranging vegetables, meat, rice, and a fried egg in a bowl. Then he mixed it together, the ingredients combining into something more than their parts. This is human food, he said. Different ingredients, different origins, all coming together into harmony. Like humanity itself, we're omnivores. We eat everything, and that taught us to accept everything, to find value in diversity. Dr. Mi-kyung, watching from the audience, felt tears in her eyes. Jae-won was doing more than cooking. He was explaining the human soul through food. The chef moved to more challenging dishes. He showed them fermented skate, explaining how humans could eat fish that had been aged until the ammonia smell could clear a room. He demonstrated eating insects, showing that humans could find protein in anything. He even made a simple coffee, explaining that humans consumed bitter alkaloid drinks for pleasure and energy. You drink poison for fun? A Dravine scientist asked, confused. We drink coffee, Jae-won corrected with a smile, which yes contains toxins. But in controlled amounts it's harmless to us and gives us energy. Humans learned to dose ourselves carefully. We understand that poison is often just medicine at the wrong amount. But the real revelation came when he discussed human taste itself. Humans have 5 basic tastes, he explained. Sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami, which is savory. But we also experience texture, temperature, aroma. We combine these into infinite variations. A single dish can be sweet and spicy and sour all at once. We seek complexity. He prepared a simple Korean stew, gochujang jjigae, with fermented pepper paste, tofu, vegetables, and pork. The smell filled the chamber, making some aliens retreat while others leaned closer, curious despite themselves. This stew has every flavor, Jae-won said. Spicy from peppers, salty from fermentation, sweet from sugar, sour from kimchi, umami from meat and soy. It's complex like human culture. We're not simple creatures. We're contradictions that somehow work. A Valanthi philosopher raised a delicate hand. I begin to understand. You are not predators who learn to think. You are survivors who learn to transform. You see ingredients others waste. You combine impossibilities. You make poison into pleasure. Exactly, Jae-won said, pleased. Human food is about transformation and adaptation. We take whatever we have and make it work. That's how we survived on Earth. That's how we'll survive in space. He prepared one final dish. A simple meal of rice, grilled fish, miso soup, and pickled vegetables. Clean, balanced, respectful. This is Japanese cuisine, he explained. Another human culture. They focus on purity, on letting ingredients speak for themselves. Where Korean food is bold and complex, Japanese food is subtle and refined. Both are human. Both are valid. We contain multitudes. As he finished, the chamber was silent. Then slowly, the aliens began their various forms of applause. Clicking, chiming, rustling. Valanth approached Jae-won. You have given us much to think about. We saw your teeth and thought only of violence. But your teeth also smile. They taste. They speak. They are tools of connection, not just consumption. Tae-sung stood beside Jae-won, proud. Humans are omnivores. We eat everything. But that means we had to learn about everything. To survive, we needed knowledge, adaptability, creativity. Our diet shaped our minds. You are predators, a Quelm elder said slowly. But you are also gardeners and gatherers and cooks. You are everything at once. Yes, Tae-sung said simply. We are. In the weeks following the demonstration, scientific papers flooded the coalition networks. Studies on human digestive systems, analysis of human cuisine, philosophical discussions about the relationship between diet and culture. The conclusion was becoming clear. Humanity wasn't dangerous because they were predators. They were valuable because they were survivors. They could eat anything, survive anywhere, adapt to any situation. The amber threat classification was officially removed. Humanity was reclassified as green with a note. Unique species. Omnivorous adaptability provides potential for crisis response and environmental flexibility. Recommend full coalition partnership. When Tae-sung received the news, he called Jae-won personally. You did it, he said. You showed them who we are through cooking. Jae-won laughed. I just made food. But I guess that's very human. We solve problems by feeding people. The most human solution possible, Tae-sung agreed. And in her laboratory, Dr. Mi-kyung updated her files with a smile. Humanity had been judged by their teeth and found worthy. Not despite what they were, but because of it. The galaxy was learning. Humans eat everything, and that makes them capable of anything. The first night on Refuge 7 was brutal. The human team worked without stopping, running on coffee and determination. The galaxy watched every move through the live cameras. Dr. Mi-kyung set up her laboratory in a corner of the colony. She had dozens of samples spread across her work table. Contaminated plants and water in various states of analysis. Her fingers flew across her tablet, recording data. This is actually fascinating, she muttered to herself. The contamination followed the plant's vascular system. The heavy metals concentrated in the crystalline structures, while the alkaloids saturated the cell walls. Seok Jin, who was supposed to be resting, couldn't sleep. He found Meek-young still working at 3 in the morning. "Don't you ever sleep?" he asked. "Sleep is for people who aren't making history," Meek-young said, not looking up. "Come here. I want to show you something amazing." She pulled up a comparison chart. "Look at this. Human safe toxin levels versus Quelm safe levels. They need water purified to 99.99%. Humans can handle 95%. They can tolerate 5 parts per million of lead. We can handle 50. Their bodies shut down at alkaloid levels that humans consume every morning in coffee. So we really are tougher than them," Seok-jin said. "Not tougher. Different." Meek-young smiled. "Humans evolved as survivors. We ate questionable food, drank dirty water, and lived in harsh conditions. Our bodies adapted. Meanwhile, these species evolved in stable, clean environments. They became specialized. We became resilient." She pulled up another chart. "Look at this. Human stomach acid has a pH of 1.5 to 3.5. That's incredibly acidic. We could literally digest metal. Quelm's stomach equivalent has a pH of 6. Barely acidic at all. They're designed for pre-digested clean nutrients. We're designed to handle whatever we can fit in our mouths. That's why they're scared of us," Seok-jin said quietly. "We're built like survivors. They're built like gardeners." "Exactly," Meek-young said. "And right now, the garden needs some survivors." By dawn, engineer Dong Hyun had finished the first water filtration unit. He looked exhausted but satisfied. Captain Jiwoo came to inspect his work. "Will it hold?" she asked. "Better than hold. It'll purify water to human standards in 6 hours. Then we can treat it further for Quelm use. I've also set up a recycling system. Nothing goes to waste." "That's very human," Jiwoo said with approval. "Waste nothing, use everything." "It's how our ancestors survived," Dong Hyun said, wiping grease from his hands. "Take whatever you have and make it work. My grandmother could make a feast from food scraps. I learned from her." Throughout the day, the team worked on sorting the contaminated food supplies. Meek-young had created a sorting system. Some contaminated food could be made safe for Quelm through processing. Other food was too contaminated but safe for humans to eat. "We're going to eat their poison and turn it into clean nutrients," Meek-young explained to the camera. The galaxy was watching, and she wanted them to understand. Human waste contains processed nutrients that we can purify and refine for Quelm consumption. It's not pretty, but it's efficient. Across the galaxy, aliens reacted with shock and disgust. The humans were going to eat poison, process it through their bodies, and create food from their waste. It seemed impossible, horrifying, yet also impressive. Medic Yoonji worked with the Quelm directly. Many were too weak to float properly. She moved among them with gentle efficiency, checking their vital signs, administering what help she could. One Quelm child, barely bigger than Yoonji's hand, floated weakly near the surface of a pool. "Will I die?" the child asked through its translator. "No," Yoonji said firmly. "We won't let that happen. But you're predators." "Why save prey?" Yoonji sat beside the pool. "You know what's interesting? Humans were prey too once. Big cats hunted us. We were scared and weak. But we learned to use tools, work together, and fight back. We became predators because we had to survive. But we never forgot what it felt like to be afraid." The child considered this. "So you understand being scared?" "Very much," Yoonji said gently. "And that's why we help. Because we remember. The real shock came on day 3. Captain Jiwoo decided to demonstrate something the galaxy needed to see. She gathered her team in the colony's central chamber, where all the cameras could record clearly. "People of the galaxy," she said, speaking directly to the camera, "you've seen us work. Now watch us eat." She opened a container of contaminated Quelm food. The crystalline plants were brown with poison. She picked up a piece and ate it without hesitation. "Chewed, swallowed, tastes like bitter lettuce," she reported. "Unpleasant but harmless." Then Dong Hyun drank a cup of the partially treated water. Metallic aftertaste, but safe. Meek-young ate a different contaminated plant. "This one has higher alkaloid content. Makes my tongue tingle. Like eating spicy food. Still safe." Even Seok-jin, the diplomat, ate some contaminated food. "Not great. But I've had worse at diplomatic dinners. He smiled at the camera. No offense to the Volanthi crystallized fruits. Those were lovely. Then they showed their regular work schedule. 20-hour days. Lifting heavy equipment. Working in toxic environments that would exhaust other species in minutes. Surviving on minimal sleep. The galaxy watched in fascination as the humans just kept going. No complaints. No stopping. They worked, ate poison, and continued working. On day 5, they hit a problem. A secondary contamination pocket opened. Toxic gas flooded one section. The Quelm in that area were in immediate danger. We need to evacuate them, Yunji said urgently. The gas will kill them during transport, Mi-kyung warned, checking readings. Jiwoo made a quick decision. Then we carry them through the gas. Our suits can handle it. Captain, if a suit tears, the gas could harm us, Dong-hyun warned. Could harm us. Not will kill us, Jiwoo corrected. But it will definitely kill the Quelm. We go. They suited up and entered the contaminated section. The gas was so thick they could barely see. Jiwoo found the first Quelm, gently scooped them up in a protective container and carried them to safety. Then went back for another. And another. Seokjin's suit tore on a piece of sharp metal. Gas seeped in. He coughed, eyes watering, but kept moving. He had a Quelm child to save. He could handle some toxic gas. By the time they evacuated everyone, the whole team was coughing and exhausted, but alive, and every Quelm was safe. The galaxy watched as medic Yunji checked Seokjin's injuries. Minor burns from the gas. Nothing serious. He would recover. You risked your life for them, the news commentator said across coalition channels. Why? Seokjin answered through the live feed, his voice hoarse but firm. Because that's what intelligent beings do. We protect each other. Predator-prey, those are just words. What matters is choice. We choose to help. By the end of week 1, the colony was stabilizing. The water system was working. Food supplies were being sorted and processed. The Quelm were gaining strength, and the galaxy was learning something new about the human species. Yes, they had teeth designed for eating meat. Yes, they were predators, but they were also something else. They were survivors who turned their survival skills toward saving others. They could eat poison and call it bitter. They could work in environments that would kill other species and call it uncomfortable. They could risk their lives for strangers and call it duty. On day 10, evacuation ships arrived, but they weren't needed. The colony was saved. The humans had done the impossible. As the human team prepared to leave, the Quelm colony elder floated before Captain Jiwoo. You ate our poison and lived. You breathed our toxic air and survived. You turned death into life. How? Jiwoo smiled, showing those very human teeth. We're omnivores. We eat everything. We always have, and we learned to turn that into our strength instead of our shame. The galaxy was beginning to understand. Human teeth weren't just weapons. They were tools for survival. And now, tools for helping others survive too. 3 months had passed since the disastrous first contact. Earth waited nervously for the Coalition's decision. Would they accept humanity? Quarantine them? The silence was driving everyone crazy. Then, on a quiet Tuesday morning, everything changed. The emergency broadcast lit up every screen on Earth. Ambassador Tae-sung appeared, but he wasn't alone. Behind him was the translucent form of Velanth, the Volanthi diplomat. People of Earth, Velanth spoke through the translator. We come with an urgent request. The Quelm mining colony on Refuge 7 is dying. We need help. We need you. Young diplomat Seokjin sat in the emergency briefing room trying to process what he was hearing. He had been assigned to the Coalition Relations team just last week. Now he was in the middle of a crisis. Explain it again, said Captain Jiwoo. She had been called in to assess if this was a trap. The Quelm representative's image floated on the screen, its form rippling with distress. Our colony mines rare elements on Refuge 7. 3 days ago, an underground pocket ruptured. Toxic compounds flooded the entire facility. Everything is contaminated. Food, water, air. The plants we grow for food have absorbed heavy metals and alkaloid poisons. Can't you evacuate? Asked Dr. Mi-kyung. Evacuation will take 2 months. We have 2 weeks of emergency supplies left. After that, everyone starves. The Quelm's voice was desperate. We cannot synthesize compatible food fast enough. The contamination is too specific to our biology. What about other coalition species? Jiwoo asked. Velanth appeared on the split screen. The Volanthi would die instantly in that environment. The toxins would crystallize our bodies. Other species face similar problems. The contaminated plants are deadly to everyone in the coalition. So why ask us? Seokjin said. There was a pause. Then Velanth said quietly, because your species eats things that kill others. We have studied your biology more carefully. Your tolerance for toxins is remarkable. What poisons us might be harmless to you. Dr. Mi-kyung was already pulling up data. Let me see the chemical analysis. Files transferred to her screen. She studied them carefully, her eyes widening. Heavy metals, mostly lead and mercury. Alkaloid compounds similar to caffeine and nicotine. Sulfur compounds. She looked up, surprised. This would definitely kill them. But humans? This is well within our tolerance levels. You're saying we could eat their poisoned food? Ambassador Tae-sung asked carefully. Possibly, Mi-kyung said. Our species evolved eating from contaminated sources. We drank from questionable rivers. We ate plants that other animals wouldn't touch. Our digestive system is incredibly robust. Our stomach acid could dissolve nails. Captain Jiwoo leaned forward. Is this a test? A way to see if we're really dangerous? The Quelm representative made a sound like crying. This is desperation. 300 of my people are dying. Children are dying. If you think this is a trick, then refuse. But please, if you have any mercy, help us. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at each other. Seokjin surprised himself by speaking. We should go. This is our chance to show them who we really are. It could be dangerous, Jiwoo warned. Everything worth doing is dangerous, Seokjin replied. They're asking for help. Humans help people. That's what makes us different from the monsters they think we are. Ambassador Tae-sung made the decision. Captain Jiwoo, prepare a rescue team. Dr. Mi-kyung, you're going too. We'll need your expertise, Jiwoo nodded sharply. I'll assemble the best team. Engineer Dong-hyun for technical support. Medic Yeonji for treating survivors. And Mi-kyung for biological analysis. And me, Seokjin said firmly. I'm going too. As diplomatic liaison, Tae-sung studied the young man. You understand the risk? This planet could kill you. I understand, Seokjin said. But I also understand what this means. If we succeed, we prove humans are worth trusting. If we fail, he shrugged. At least we tried. 6 hours later, the human ship launched toward Refuge 7. The galaxy watched. Every coalition species had access to the live feed. This was humanity's test. On the ship, Jiwoo gathered her team. Engineer Dong-hyun was checking equipment. He was a quiet man who spoke more through his work than words. Medic Yeonji was reviewing Quelm biology files, memorizing everything she could. Mi-kyung was running simulations on her portable lab. Nervous? Jiwoo asked Seokjin. The young diplomat smiled. Terrified, but also excited. We're about to do something impossible. That's very human of you, Jiwoo said with a slight smile. The journey took 2 days. When they arrived at Refuge 7, the sight was grim. The planet was a dark gray world covered in toxic clouds. The colony sat on the surface like a fragile bubble. Beginning descent, the pilot announced. Atmospheric toxicity is extreme. Make sure your suits are sealed. They landed near the colony's main dome. Through the windows, they could see Quelm floating weakly in emergency pools. The aliens looked scared, not just of dying, but of their rescuers. Humans, predators, coming to a dying colony. They think we might eat them, Yeonji said softly, reading the fear in the Quelm's body language. Then we prove we won't, Jiwoo said firmly. Let's get to work. They entered the colony. The contamination was visible everywhere. The crystalline plants that Quelm cultivated were brown and dying. The water was cloudy with toxins. The air tasted metallic even through their filters. Mi-kyung immediately began testing everything. She took samples of the contaminated food, the water, the air. Her portable lab worked quickly, analyzing the chemical composition. After an hour, she called everyone together. Okay, good news and bad news. Bad news, this would definitely kill any coalition species. Good news, it won't kill us. The heavy metals are within human tolerance. The alkaloids are roughly equivalent to drinking strong coffee. You're saying this is safe? Seokjin asked, surprised. Safe enough, Mi-kyung corrected. I wouldn't want to eat it every day for a year. But for a few weeks, we'll be fine. Might get some indigestion, but we won't die. Dong-hyun was already working on the water filtration. Their system is designed to purify to Quelm standards, which are much higher than human standards. I can modify it to produce water that's safe for humans. Then we can treat that water to make it safe for Quelm. How long? Jiwoo asked. Give me 3 hours, Donghyun said, already pulling tools from his pack. Yoonji was with the Quelm, trying to reassure them. The aliens floated in their pools, too weak to move much. They watched the humans with fear and desperate hope. Will you really eat the poison? One asked through a translator. Yoonji smiled gently. It's not poison to us. Our bodies are different. What hurts you doesn't hurt us. But why help us? We judged you. We feared you. Because you need help, Yoonji said simply. And because humans help people who need it. That's just what we do. The Quelm made a sound like wind chimes, which their database said meant surprise. That evening, with the galaxy watching through live feeds, Captain Jiwoo did something that shocked everyone. She sat down in full view of the cameras, opened a ration pack, and ate her human food. Then she picked up a piece of the contaminated Quelm food. She examined it, sniffed it, and took a bite. She chewed thoughtfully. Everyone held their breath. Bitter, she announced. Needs salt, but edible. Across the galaxy, millions of aliens watched in horror and amazement as the human predator consumed what should have killed her. She didn't die. She didn't even look uncomfortable. She just ate, like it was the most normal thing in the world, because to humans it was. Dr. Mi-kyung sat in her laboratory, staring at the alien biological data on her screens. She had been studying it for 3 days straight, surviving on coffee and instant noodles. What she found made her forget about sleep entirely. This can't be right, she muttered, running the analysis again. Her colleague, Dr. Young-ho, walked in carrying more coffee. He was a historian specializing in interstellar relations, brought in to help make sense of the failed first contact. Still working? He asked. Mi-kyung, you need to rest. Look at this, she said, pulling up dozens of files. I've analyzed every coalition species we have data on. Philanthi, Quelm, the Dravine, the Crystalline Collective, all of them. Young-ho, they're all herbivores or filter feeders. Young-ho frowned. All of them? Every single one. The Philanthi photosynthesize and eat plant matter. The Quelm filter nutrients from water. The Dravine absorb minerals. Not one predator species in the entire coalition. But that's impossible, Young-ho said. In any ecosystem, you need predators. It's basic biology. Mi-kyung pulled up more data. Oh, predators exist in the galaxy. Lots of them. But look at this. She showed him videos and reports. They're all non-intelligent. Animals. The smart species, the ones who built civilizations and spaceships, they're all peaceful eaters. Young-ho sat down heavily. So humanity is unique. We're the only predator species that became intelligent enough for space travel, Mi-kyung said. Think about it. What makes predators different? We're aggressive, competitive, territorial. Those traits help in hunting but make cooperation difficult. The peaceful species could work together easily. They built societies because they didn't see each other as potential meals. But humans did it, Young-ho said slowly. We were predators, but we learned to cooperate anyway. Exactly. We're the exception. The impossible species. Mi-kyung rubbed her tired eyes. No wonder they're scared of us. Young-ho's tablet beeped. He checked it and his face went pale. Mi-kyung, you need to see this. He transferred a file to her screen. It was a classified coalition document, leaked by a friendly Volanthi scientist who thought humans deserved to know the truth. Mi-kyung read it slowly, her blood running cold. The document was titled, Protocols for Consumption Class Species. It detailed what the coalition did when they found predator species. First, they were classified by threat level. Green meant safe, monitored from distance. Yellow meant potentially dangerous, limited contact. Orange meant significant threat, strict quarantine. Red meant immediate danger, all contact forbidden. Humanity had been classified as amber, a level between yellow and orange. But worse, the document outlined what happened to species rated orange or higher. They were isolated. Their star systems were blockaded. They received no technology, no help, no contact. The coalition simply waited for them to destroy themselves, which predator species apparently always did eventually. They're going to quarantine us, Mi-kyung whispered. If we get bumped up to orange, they'll trap us in our solar system forever. Young-ho was reading more leaked files. It gets worse. I found their analysis of humanity. Listen to this. Species shows classic predator traits. Forward-facing eyes for tracking prey. omnivorous teeth including tearing canines, high aggression levels, extensive history of internal conflict and warfare. However, species also shows unusual cooperation abilities and technological aptitude. Recommend amber classification with continuous monitoring. They're watching us, Meek-young said, waiting to see if we're dangerous. Can you blame them? Young-ho asked quietly. Look at human history. The wars, the violence, the conquests. We've spent thousands of years killing each other. From their perspective, we probably look like monsters waiting to explode into the galaxy. Meek-young stood up angrily. That's not fair. Yes, humans have fought, but we've also created beautiful things. Art, music, philosophy. We've learned from our mistakes. We've built a united Earth government. We've had 60 years of global peace. Try telling them that, Young-ho said. They see our teeth and think predator. Everything else is just details. Meek-young's phone rang. It was Ambassador Tae-sung. Doctor, his voice sounded exhausted. I need your report. The coalition has requested a follow-up meeting. They want to discuss humanity's dietary habits. Meek-young explained what she had found. When she finished, there was long silence on the phone. Finally, Tae-sung said, So we're being judged for our biology. For things we can't change. Yes, Meek-young said. But maybe we can change their minds. If we can show them that humans are different, that we're predators who chose peace. How? Tae-sung asked. They've apparently never seen a predator species become civilized before. We're their nightmare made real. Young-ho had been typing frantically on his tablet. Wait, I found something. There's mention of another species. The Vrexen. They were predators too, contacted about 200 years ago. What happened to them? Meek-young asked. Young-ho's face was grim. They were classified orange after they ate a Quelm diplomat during first contact. The coalition quarantined their system. The Vrexen tried to break out. There was a battle. The Vrexen lost. Their civilization collapsed within 50 years. They ate a diplomat? Tae-sung's voice was horrified. That's insane. For them it might have been normal, Young-ho said. They were pure carnivores. They probably didn't understand that you don't eat your dinner guests. Meek-young felt sick. So the coalition has precedent. They've dealt with predators before and it ended badly. That's why they're so scared of us. We're not the Vrexen, Tae-sung said firmly. Humans understand diplomacy. We understand that you don't eat people you're trying to make friends with. But how do we prove that? Meek-young asked. How do we show them we're different when they see us and only think of the Vrexen? Across the planet, Captain Jiwoo was having her own meeting. She commanded Earth's Defense Force, and her job was to prepare for worst-case scenarios. The failed first contact qualified as pretty bad. Her officers sat around the conference table looking worried. If they quarantine us, can we break out? Asked Commander Dong-hyun. Maybe, Jiwoo said. But at what cost? Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. A war would be suicide. So we just accept being prisoners in our own solar system? Another officer demanded. No, Jiwoo said firmly. We prepare, but we also hope. Hope that diplomacy works. Hope that Ambassador Tae-sung can make them understand. But privately, Jiwoo wasn't sure. She had read the reports. She had seen how the aliens looked at humans in the video. Footage, fear, disgust, horror. They had seen humanity's teeth and realized what humans were: predators, killers, monsters, and now humanity had to prove that monsters could be heroes. Too, back in her laboratory, Meek-young stared at the image of human teeth on her screen. Canines for tearing, molars for grinding. The perfect omnivore design, the mark of a species that ate everything. We can't change what we are, she said softly. So we have to change what they think we are. And how do we do that? Young-ho asked. Meek-young thought about it. Then she smiled, showing her own very human teeth. We wait for them to need us. And when they do, we show them what humans can really do. The massive alien ship hung in space like a floating city made of silver and glass. Ambassador Tae-sung stood at the window of the human shuttle, watching it grow larger as they approached. His heart beat faster than he wanted to admit. This was it. Humanity's first real conversation with aliens. Everything had to go perfectly. Ambassador, we're docking in 5 minutes, the pilot announced. Tae-sung adjusted his formal suit and looked at his team. Hae-jin, his assistant, was checking her tablet for the 100th time. She was young, brilliant, and sometimes too honest for diplomatic work. But Tae-sung trusted her completely. Remember, he said quietly, we smile. We're friendly. We answer their questions carefully. This meeting decides if humanity joins the Galactic Coalition or stays alone in space. Heejin nodded, but she looked nervous. What if we mess up? What if we say something wrong? Then we apologize and try again, Taesung said with a gentle smile. They contacted us. They want to meet us. That's a good sign. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The airlock opened and Taesung took a deep breath. On the other side, 3 aliens waited for them. The first alien looked like a tall, graceful deer made of crystal. Its skin was translucent and seemed to glow with soft blue light. This was Ambassador Velanth of the Velanthi people. The second alien floated in a tank of shimmering liquid. It had no clear body shape, just flowing membranes and delicate tendrils. This was the Quelm representative. Welcome, humans, Velanth said. The translator device made the words sound musical. We are honored to meet the newest intelligent species in this sector. Taesung bowed respectfully. The honor is ours. Humanity thanks you for this invitation. The aliens led them through corridors that felt more like gardens than spaceship hallways. Plants grew from the walls, glowing softly. The air smelled sweet and clean. Everything felt peaceful and perfect. They arrived at a large chamber filled with other aliens. Some looked like walking plants. Others resembled floating jellyfish or living rocks. All of them turned to stare at the humans. Taesung felt like a specimen under a microscope, but he kept smiling. Please sit, Velanth said, gesturing to cushions arranged around a low table. We have prepared food to welcome you. The table filled with dishes. Taesung saw crystallized fruits that sparkled like jewels. There were bowls of thick, colorful liquids that smelled like flowers. Platters held what looked like compressed plant matter in geometric shapes. Everything looked beautiful but strange. Heejin whispered, Should we eat it? What if it makes us sick? Our medical team cleared it, Taesung whispered back. It won't hurt us, just try to look like you enjoy it. He picked up something that looked like a purple crystal and took a small bite. It tasted like sweet grass with a hint of mint. Not bad, actually. Around him, his team began sampling the food carefully. Velanth seemed pleased. Tell us about your world. We have studied your broadcasts, but we wish to learn more directly. For the next hour, Taesung answered questions about Earth. He talked about human history, culture, and technology. The aliens listened with fascination. Everything seemed to be going wonderfully. Then a Velanthi scientist asked, What do humans eat? We notice your food preparation seems complex from your broadcasts. Hyojin jumped in enthusiastically. She loved talking about human culture. Oh, we eat lots of things. Vegetables, of course. Fruits, grains, nuts. We have rice, wheat, potatoes. We make bread and noodles and... Fascinating, the scientist said. So you are herbivorous like us? Well, no, Yejin continued cheerfully. We're omnivores. We also eat meat, fish, eggs, dairy products. We ferment foods too. Cheese, yogurt, kimchi, soy sauce. Oh, and we eat insects in some cultures. Crickets are actually very nutritious, she stopped. The room had gone completely silent. Taesung felt his stomach drop. Every alien was staring at them with what could only be described as horror. Velanth's glowing skin had turned a sickly pale color. The Quelm representative's tank water suddenly turned murky with what might have been fear. You consume flesh? Velanth asked slowly. Living creatures? Taesung tried to recover. Yes, but humans are omnivores. It's natural for our species. We need diverse nutrition. You kill and eat other living beings? Another alien asked, its voice shaking. Many Earth animals do, Taesung explained carefully. It's part of our ecosystem. Predators and prey balanced naturally. Humans evolved as omnivores. We can eat both plants and animals. A reptilian alien stood up suddenly. Predators. You are predators? Heejin looked confused. Well, technically yes, but we're also prey sometimes. Humans aren't at the top of every food chain. Tigers and bears can eat us too if we're not careful. That's not helping, Taesung muttered. Velanth raised a translucent hand. The gesture seemed shaky. Forgive us. This is unexpected. In all our coalition species, none are predatory. We did not realize Earth produced a predator species capable of civilization. We're not just predators, Taesung said firmly. Humans are complex. Yes, we eat meat, but we also farm, create art, build cities, and seek peace. We developed civilization precisely because we learned to cooperate instead of just hunting. But the damage was done. The aliens were whispering among themselves. Some had moved away from the humans. Others looked at them with fear in their strange eyes. The Quelm representative's voice came through its translator, watery and distressed. Your teeth. We must examine your teeth. What? Taesung asked. Please. Open your mouth. Feeling absurd, Taesung opened his mouth. The aliens leaned forward, studying his teeth with scientific horror. Look, one whispered. Sharp front teeth for tearing. Flat back teeth for grinding. Classic omnivore dentition. And the eyes, another said, forward-facing. Predator eyes. For tracking prey. Taesung closed his mouth. His jaw felt tight with tension. This was going very, very wrong. Valenth stood gracefully but kept distance from the humans. Honored guests, we thank you for your time. However, this information requires discussion among our people. We must consult our protocols. This has never happened before, please, Taesung said, standing. Don't judge us by our biology alone. Judge us by our actions. We came in peace. We want friendship. We understand, Valenth said, but the alien's voice was cold now. We will contact your world soon. But for now, perhaps it is best if you return to your ship. The meeting was over. As they walked back to the shuttle, Yejin looked miserable. I ruined it. I talked too much. I'm so sorry. You told the truth, Taesung said quietly. They would have found out eventually. But as their shuttle pulled away from the beautiful alien ship, Taesung stared at the stars and wondered. Had they just lost humanity's chance at the stars? All because humans ate meat? The universe was stranger than anyone had imagined. And apparently humanity was the monster in this story. The thought made him feel cold inside.